All right. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me here. My name is Daniel Portilla, and I come from Quito, Ecuador. I'm a second-year MBA student, and I think a common theme today is the power of stories. And this is something that I've believed all throughout my life, and so I want to share one of the most important stories for me, and the story that has led me to come here to Notre Dame. The other story is the story of the people sitting in this room, so I won't tell you that one, because you already know it. So I'll just go ahead and start with my story. On the day of my 25th birthday, I got on a plane to Shanghai. I was looking for the biggest adventure of my life, but more than just an adventure, I was looking for something that I had somehow lost along the way. Something that I knew I was missing, but that I didn't quite know what it was. And so to explain that, I have to explain to you also what had happened before. And so for the past couple of years before that, I had been sort of stuck in a daze. I had gone back to Ecuador to work there, and I was not happy. I had a job that was meaningless to me. It had nothing to do with the things that I cared about. And so I felt no satisfaction, no fulfillment. I only felt emptiness inside of me. And so knowing that I had somehow set aside all my aspirations, all my ideals in exchange for wealth and status, I knew it was time to change. And so I got on that plane to China. And when I got there, I spent the next couple of months backpacking through the outdoors, something that I've always loved. And one day, I got lost while hiking in a forest. And what my map had told me would be just, a quick hike out, turned into be a full day struggle uphill with all the cold that comes from winter, no food that I had left. And so I didn't even know if I was in the right path, and yet I kept going. And right when the sun was about to set, and I stumbled into a road, and so that was a joy itself. I felt that I was about to find civilization somehow. And so I took that road, and yet nothing was coming along, and I was just, still walking and walking. Now it was dark, and suddenly I found a house. It was a tiny house, and in the entrance there was an old woman standing there. And so I approached her in kind of broken Chinese and mostly sign language. I tried to ask her for directions, and I'm not exactly sure what she told me, but it was very clear that she didn't want me to keep going, and she invited me into her home, so I did. Inside her house, I found that she had very little for herself, and yet she shared it with me. And that night, some warm tea, some hot food, and a warm place to sleep in was the biggest blessing I could have ever found. And so that lady showed me a very, very important lesson. First, she taught me that it's often the poorest people who are the kindest. And second, she taught me that it doesn't matter that we were strangers and that we come from completely different worlds. We are still linked by our common humanity. And so that moment, I found that answer that I had been looking for all along. And that lady taught me that which I needed to come back with. And it's basically the fact that it's so important to share whatever fortunes we may have with those who need it. And so with that story, I don't think that any of you are surprised that I chose Notre Dame for my MBA. I don't need to say what a strong values-based institution Notre Dame is. But while coming here for my MBA, I've learned that business truly has the power and the reach to solve most of our world's pressing needs, both in terms of social needs as well as environmental. And so I've taken that, and I've become, I guess, a believer in the Mendoza School of Business mantra to always ask more of business, and I've also come to always ask more of myself. And so with that, of asking things, I come here to ask one more thing, and this is something that I ask of you. For you see, it is all the people in this room who are the benefactors for people like me and my peers. It has been your kindness which has afforded us a Notre Dame education when our own wealth was not sufficient for that. It has been your generosity which has allowed us to be shaped by an institution that puts values above everything else. And it has been your support which has allowed me to personally be driven by a sense of purpose rather than by the obligations of debt. And so what I ask of you is to approve of this sense of purpose that I've put on for myself, and to give me your blessing to take those lessons and to go out into the world and inspire others to adopt the values that I've learned at Notre Dame, regardless of where we are, that we may always share that common link that brings us together regardless of where we come from, that I may inspire others to think about the world as one, and that just like that old lady in China, that we may always care for each other, and that we always may share the fortunes that we have been given to those who need it most. And so with that, and with extreme sincerity in my words, I want to thank you for all your blessings, and hope that I can make you proud and share that which you have given me to those who need it the most in the future. Thank you.